All right, we're going to talk about the God of Abraham and how it's shown in the Bible that actually he's a different God than the God of creation, than the God of Adam and Eve, and the God of all the patriarchs all the way up through Noah. In fact, even to Abraham's father. Then we finally have the God of the Bible starting to talk to Abraham and the people. Abraham comes from Ur of the Chaldees, which is close to the little bottom right-hand corner, right above where it says Ancient Near East. And it would have been a Sumerian spot. You can see the word Sumer over near there. Babylon, Sumer. These places that are mentioned right in here. This is Sumer. In fact, this whole area at one time was Sumer. In fact, all of this was Sumeria, all the way up past here. Up in here is Arata. This is the Arata area they came from originally, and then came down through, building all of this. This was after the last ice age of the Sumerians, but I digress. Let's talk about this. Abraham comes from Ur, and then he goes up and around across over here, and apparently stops in Haran, which historians say was actually made by his father and not even made by him. And then he comes on down through and comes to the land where Jerusalem is close to and stuff, Moab and the Edomites, way down here. Now, he could have just come straight across, but instead he came down, following the rivers and so on, and then going across. An important place right here, too, is Mari. Right there, Mari, M-A-R-I. For Imari and Mari play an important role in all of this. So does Ur, being that it's an ancient capital of the Sumerians, and they were the ones that knew about the processions of time and zodiac and all those type things, and nobody else around the area really did at the time. So let's take a look at this a little bit closer. So Canaan is, again, you can see it down in here, but Canaan would have been a larger area for a good long while. In fact, they say Ammonites, Moabites, and Edomites, and Canaanites all worshipped all the same gods. All these guys did, all the way up through, in fact, Rome and stuff. They're all worshiping a god named El. Well, El is equal to Saturn, and so even all the way up here in Rome, way over here I'm pointing at, and way up here in Greece, these people, above Anatolia and so on, are worshiping this. And the Hittites that are there are well aware of the ancients that this all came from. Well, so everybody in the Bible believes that they're all worshiping one God. The God of creation was the God of Noah, and then the God of Noah was the God of Abraham, and the God of Abraham was the God of Jacob, and the God of Jacob was the God of everybody at the end of the Bible, and then that was the God of Jesus. Well, let me show you something here. Let's pop out of this screen and let's go someplace else. Let's go to, oh, wow, it does not have it there anymore. Let's see, I don't have my Bible pulled up. Let's Google search it real quick. That's easy enough. We're gonna search up, I don't know, where is it I usually go? Is it Bible Hub? There's one of two that I go to. It's not gonna place it on there. What's the deal there? So, where's my extra battery? This will make a difference. Bear with me 1 minute, folks, while I stare at a Google screen and rebattery my keyboard. Ta-da! Okay, so I think it's Bible. How do we go to? Has all the different Bibles in the same one. Is this it? Yeah, this is one of them. Okay, so this will be fine. So where we're going to go here is we're going to go to Joshua. And we're going to go to Joshua 24. Way down here at the bottom, at the end of it. It's the end of everything that happened. So let's take a good look at this. What happens here? I don't know why it keeps doing that, but it sure does keep doing that. Let's go back here. Okay, sorry about that. Let's look here. So this is when Joshua summons all the tribes of Israel to seek him, including their elders, leaders, judges, and officers. So they came and presented themselves to God. Okay. Now this is all everybody's version of it, and the different ones, and their officers, and so on. Well, let's just go ahead and let's look at a new version here. Let's take a look at the New International Version. So here we are at 24. And Joshua assembled all the tribes of Israel at Shechem. He summoned the elders and judges. Now, this is the important part, people. Joshua said to all the people, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Long ago in your ancestors, including Terah, the father of Abraham and Nahor, lived beyond the Euphrates River and worshipped other gods." I want you to see this here. Including Terah, the father of Abraham and Nahor, lived beyond the Euphrates River and worshipped other gods. Now this is Joshua 24, verse 2. You can find this in your own Bible. But they lived over there and they were worshiping other gods. But I took your father Abraham from the land beyond the Euphrates and led him out through Canaan. Oh, so you're a new God here at this point. Really? I took him through Canaan and gave him many descendants. This would believe that perhaps the Canaanites later in the Bible have something to do with all of this that Abraham did, and then they end up going against them. Boy, in fact, when you look at it, it happens about 3 times fold, where the little promised people just get screwed over by the other ones, and apparently they're all related to each other, one of the 3. I gave him Isaac, and to Isaac I gave Jacob and Esau. I assigned the hill country Seir to Esau, but Jacob's family went down to Egypt. I sent Moses, Aaron, and inflicted the Egyptians by what I did there. I brought you out. When I brought your people out of Egypt, you came to the sea, and the Egyptians pursued them with chariots and horsemen as far as the Red Sea. But they cried to the Lord for help, and he put darkness between you and the Egyptians. He brought the sea over them and covered them. You saw with your own eyes what I did to the Egyptians. Then you lived in the wilderness for a long time. Hold on a second. That chapter right there is pretty important. So he says that he pursued them. He went all the way to the sea, and then he pursued them with chariots and horsemen as far as the Red Sea. Well, that's B. Let's look down here at the bottom. What does it say for B? Oh, it's Yam Suf in Hebrew, and it means the Sea of Reeds. And it doesn't mean the Red Sea. And I'm so sorry to tell you that they didn't even go to the ocean. They went around it, that they have the path now, and that actually they went through the Sea of Reeds, which leads up and around it. Doesn't go to it. In fact, they would have to gone up and around it, back around, past, up against it, and then across. It doesn't happen. In fact, whenever they part the Sea of Reeds, it doesn't part the Red Sea, it just parts the Sea of Reeds. The Sea of Reeds. Yeah, that's sad that the biggest thing that he does in the Bible is really actually something that was misconstrued as far as the Red Sea. But they cried the Lord for help, and he put darkness between you and the Egyptians. He brought the sea over them and covered them. You saw with your own eyes what I did to the Egyptians. Okay, there's a weird statement right there. He put darkness between you and the Egyptians. Okay, so if the Egyptians can't see you because of the darkness, you can't see the Egyptians. I mean, just think common sense here, people. If he put this dark storm cloud between them that it says and stuff and caused a big vroom, then if they can't see them, then how can they see each other? But regardless of that, then he tells these people, you saw with your own eyes what I did to the Egyptians. Now, this is not true. Anybody that he would be talking to right now, Joshua would be saying to the people, none of these people were people that were there and watched what happened with their own eyes. None of these people saw with their own eyes that God did to the Egyptians. No, now they're usurping it. They're just, right now he's saying, see, you see what I do. You see, no, they didn't see. Truth be known, they did not see. This is a false statement. You saw with your own eyes what I did to the Egyptians. There's no way that anybody that's alive right now saw with their own eyes what he did to the Egyptians. This would have been hundreds and hundreds of years before that, so there's nobody there. He says, then you lived in the wilderness for a long time. The end of that statement should be, then I gave you a land of Eden and the world was a great place. But it was not. The next statement is, then you lived in the wilderness for a long time, in tents, while the rest of the people had lands and cities and culture. So why is God picking on these tent people? Well, they're gullible, I guess, but I digress. Let's continue. I brought you the land of Amorites who lived to the east of Jordan. They fought against you, but I gave them into your hands. Oh, one thing about this, it tells you up here, it says that they lived beyond the Euphrates or on the other side of the Euphrates, but you can see that was actually on this side of Euphrates. They didn't have to cross it. They didn't start over here and have to cross it and then come out over here. They basically just that's a misstatement too. They didn't have to live beyond the Euphrates. They could have been over there, but is where they came from, and that is on this same side. It's on the eastern side of the Euphrates. So they weren't on the other side of that river. The river they would have been on the other side, it would be in the Jordan, who lived east of the Jordan. They fought against you, but I gave them into your hands. I destroyed the Amorites, is who he's talking about. Amorites, by the way, Amor is love, right? Amor. Amor is love. These are the love cult. He gave them in your hands. I destroyed them before you, and you took possession of their land. When Baal, son of Zippor, king of Moab, prepared to fight against Israel, he sent Balaam, son of Beor, to put a curse on you. This is the Baal people and Canaanites. But I would not listen to Balaam. So he blessed you again and again, and I delivered you out of his hand. Well, that's a weird statement. Hold on. But I would not, let's see, he sent Balaam, son of Beor, to put a curse on you. But I wouldn't listen to Balaam, so he blessed you again and again, and I delivered you out of his hand. So they were captive of them for a good long time, too. He didn't go take and brought you to the land of the Amorites. No, they went slavery to these people. The people of the Amorites took it. Anyhow, but they rose up against him. They did this rebellious thing. If you'll look, the Jews did a Jewish revolt, like about 4 times here, and then they did one in 66 A.D. They did the biggest Jewish revolt, and it actually comes out to being Armageddon, believe it or not, where they all got killed off. They just caused revolts. They even caused a revolt right before Hitler and the Jews went crazy on them. They had caused a big revolt there while they were supposedly being there as guests. So then they give you false information here again. He says, then you crossed the Jordan and came to Jericho. The citizens of Jericho fought against you, as also the Amorites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hittites, and Girgashites, Hivitites, and Jebusites. Boy, all these guys are fighting you. But I gave them into your hands. I sent the hornet ahead of you. On most of these it says the horrors ahead of you, which drove them out before you, which was like plagues, by the way. You and the 2 Amorite kings, you did not do it with your own sword and bow. I gave you the land. So here we go. Listen to this. So I gave you a land on which you did not toil, and cities you did not build. So they just walked right in and took over, huh? and you live in them and eat from vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant. So they're stealing in other people's land right there. Sure enough. And it's all hooked up, ready to go. So now fear the Lord and serve him with all faithfulness. Throw away the gods of your ancestors, worship from beyond the Euphrates River in Egypt, and serve the God, Lord. This is going to be Baal. Serve the Baal. Lord, that word right there in the Bible is Baal. Lord is Baal. Every time you see the word Lord, it's Baal. They say, well, that just means Lord. Yeah, that's. But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then you choose yourselves this day who you'll serve, whether the gods of your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates, which would be Noah and the God of the flood that saved all of humanity and the creator of all humankind, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you're living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. So he's telling them they have a choice of right now of worshiping the Sumerian gods that his ancestors were worshiping beyond the Euphrates in Ur, or the gods of the Amorites, whose land you are now living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. So then the people answered, and this is an odd thing here. You make it sound like there's hundreds of thousands of people, but they all answer in one voice. Like as they began to speak, they all spoke the same words, and they all went, yuck, 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 right together with each other. Far be it from us to have forsaken the Lord and serve other gods. It was the Lord our God himself who brought us and our parents out of Egypt from that land slavery, and before those great signs before our eyes, he protected us an entire journey along with the nations which we traveled, and the Lord drove us out from the nations, including the Amorites who lived in the land. We too will serve the Lord because he is our God. Now hold on. You mean 100,000 people said this? Did they pass out a paper to where they could memorize this? How does this actually work? Oh, so everybody heard this. How far can they hear? Do you have a PA system back then? Wow, this is weird how people did things back then, but I'm not sure if they passed it around, if they had people walk around and say it over and over again through the crowd, make sure everybody knows what's going on and comes back. But there's a few times in the Bible where everybody answers together. Like, then the people answered. Like, they all answered, and they said these word for word right together. Just like it was, no, like an airplane when they go all together now, and they go all together. Is this what we're led to believe? Anyhow, Joshua said to the people, "You are not able to serve the Lord. He is a holy God. He is a jealous God. He will not forgive your rebellion and your sins. If you forsake this guy and serve foreign gods, he will turn and bring disaster on you and make an end of you after he has been good to you." But the people said to Joshua, "No, we're going to serve this guy that's going to kill everybody if we mess up." Then Joshua said, "You are witnessed against yourselves that you have chosen to serve Baal." "Yes, we are witnesses," they replied. So this is Baal they're worshiping. And then said Joshua, "This is the gods of the Canaanites. This is the gods of the Amorites. This is who this is." So this is, throw away the foreign gods that are among you and yield your hearts to the Lord, the God of Israel. Well, the ancient Phoenician word for the star Saturn was Israel. And Saturn was the god who ate his kids, all except for the storm god. And Baal is the storm god. And El is his father, and El is Saturn. And so here we have the exact same worship. El was the Canaanite god, the Canaanite beginner of that pantheon that was there. You can look at my other videos on that and see. But on that day, Joshua made a covenant for the people, and there at Shechem he affirmed them the decrees and laws, and Joshua recorded these things in the book of law of God. We don't have this anymore. Then he took a large stone and set it up under an oak tree near the holy place of the Lord. "See," he said to all the people, "this stone will be a witness against us." That's terrible. It's going to be a witness against you. Now whenever you screw up, he'll be like, "Well, see, and this is why you're all going to die. It has heard all the words the Lord has said to us. It will be a witness against you if you are untrue to your God." Sure enough. Then Joshua dismissed the people, each their own inheritance. Now, right after that, it says, Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died at the age of 110. They buried him in the land of inheritance, Timnath-Serah, in the hill country of Ephraim, north of Mount of Gash. Israel served the Lord through the lifetime of Joshua and of the elders who outlived him and who had experienced everything the Lord had done for Israel. Well, what did he do? Let them steal somebody's lands? Yep. And they carried around bones of people. And Joseph's bones, which the Israelites had brought up from Egypt, were buried in Shechem in the tract of land that Jacob bought for 100 pieces of silver. And actually, if you look down here, Hebrew 100 kissahs. A kissah was a unit of money of unknown weight or value. It wasn't silver or who knows. They have no idea how much that he had bought that for. That it was something. It could be women. Casitas could be women. It could be anything. But he bought it from the sons of Hamor, the father of Shechem. This became the inheritance of Joseph's descendants. And Eleazar, son of Aaron, died and was buried in Gilboa, which had been allotted to his son Phinehas in the hill country of Abraham. Well, Phinehas is the one that was watching over the Ark of the Covenant, and that's Phinehas that whenever they stole the Ark of the Covenant, he came in and he slew Phinehas. And the other guy that was standing there and took the Ark of the Covenant and threw it up on his shoulder and ran off, the giant did, supposedly. So there's Phinehas's things. But sure enough, the Sea of Reeds here, people. And what we're talking about here is that these people, this is the Lord, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Long ago, your ancestors, including Terah, the father of Abraham and Nahor, lived beyond the Euphrates river and worshipped other gods. So they were not worshiping the same God that they're talking about now, trying to worship. Doesn't that trouble you that the God of creation that made Adam and Eve are apparently the Sumerian gods, but they're in this other land, and because they're in this other land, they're going to start worshiping this other God who claims that he's the highest. It claims he's the most high. It's exactly what goes on right here, people. Joshua 24. I want you to look it up. It says it. Let's just see what interlinear even shows into it, if interlinear has anything. 24:1. Israel for the elders, all. And Joshua gathered God to present the officers and the judges and the heads. Okay. Let's go to 24:2, and this is where it says it. So, Joshua said unto all the people, thus says the Lord God of Israel. Of course, when it says the Lord here, they put Yahweh, but this is not the symbolization for Yahweh. There's too many things inside there. Too many dots, but that's probably the Adonis form of it. But Adonis, anyhow. Lord God of Israel. On the other side of the flood dwelled your fathers from ancient time, even Terah, the father of Abraham. And see, Abi is father, and Ra, Ham. Ham is the people. See this? Ham is the people. And Ab. Now Ra is the sun god in ancient Egypt. So the father of Ra's people. And there you go, right there. Abraham, if you will. Terah. So on the other side of the flood, too, interesting, the word there is Hanahar. Har is a mountain. Hana is not the name of the Mount of Ararat or Arata. Hanahar. This is the grace of God's mountain. This is Hana is the grace of God, and Har is a mountain. So Hanahar would be the grace of God's mountain. On the other, they dwelled on the other side of the grace of God's mountain. Doesn't actually mean the flood right here. Har Megiddo is Armageddon, or is the Mount. Har is the name of a mountain. So, but it does say the same things here, yeah. And they served other gods. Aharim Elohim, other gods. And they served other gods. Wow. That's just, that's enlightening right there, people. There's a lot more coming after this too, but I just wanted to put this one out there just to let people know, because they seem to think that it's all one God, and that no, they strayed here and there, but it was all on one path. And I go, no, everything apparently before Abraham was a totally different path that had nothing to do with this path. They're not, he says they worshiped other gods. They didn't even worship him. There was nothing to do with them on that. You can definitely see it right there. So I have no idea what the comment would be on this, but I'm not going to even really look at their comment on this. I'll maybe read it afterwards. I'm not going to read it for y'all right now, but see, Jehovah, the great God and the God of Israel, whom you quickly bound here. This is an argument that he was uttered aloud by the divine inspiration. Indeed, he was no less a prophet than the head of the nation. Your fathers dwelt on the other side of flood, or the river, namely Euphrates, so called by the way of eminence. They served other gods. That is, both Abraham and Nahor were no less idolaters than the rest of mankind. No. They didn't have an idol up there and still call it Yahweh. They worshipped other gods. You're not going to get out of that by just going, oh, see, everybody was idol worshiping, but he told them to quit, so y'all quit. No, you're not going to twist it and make that be the fix it. They served other gods. In fact, this God is saying that they served other gods, so they didn't serve him in any way, shape, or form. In fact, that was on the other side of the river, all the way back, he tells you. All those people. Yeah, all those people. Yeah. That's what he says, straightforward. Strong's. Long ago, your ancestors, including Terah, long ago, your ancestors, including Terah, the father of Abraham, lived beyond the Euphrates and worshipped other gods. That's amazing. Amazing. That'll do it for this time.